Okay, welcome everyone. You are here today for the UBC Certificate in Organizational Coaching info webinar. Hopefully, if that's not the program you're looking for, it's okay if you duck out, but that's what we'll be talking about today. And so I'm Kels. So Kels or Kelly Davidson. I'm the cohort leader here. So I was in this program back in 2019, 2020. So we called it cohort 8, and moved on and became an organizational and leadership coach. And now I work with the program as cohort leader, which really is, I'm your first point of contact if you decide to join the program. And I take you through the entire year-long process as you go through. We're going to be going through some different things today. I will be sharing a PowerPoint with some information on it. There's a lot of information, and so we're going to get through as much as we possibly can, but we'll also give you other ways to find out what you need to learn from today. And this will also be somewhat interactive, so we're hoping that we can also chat with some of you as we go through this. I am in a classroom today, so I'm hoping that my Wi-Fi stays good and nobody comes in here at any point, but if they are, we'll just roll with it. Yeah, so that's a little bit just to kind of get us started. We are recording this so that we can share this out to folks who couldn't make it in person. So this recording will only be used during that time. If you do want to change your name for anonymity, you can do that because this is something that people might see. It's up to you what you want on there. If you are feeling comfortable to be on screen, we love that. It always is great when you can see people and it feels like you're talking to a group of people because it can get a bit awkward when you don't see anybody. So that's about it. All right, I'd love to start with a bit of a land acknowledgement. And as I was coming in today, I am not in my usual space. And so I had to quickly remember, to adjust that because it's something that I talk about quite often, especially at my home, which is where I usually work. And so most days you're going to find me working and living on the land of the Samath people. And so they are part of the Coast Salish peoples and part of the broader Stalo First Nation. But today I'm on the land of the I am blanking for a second. I got myself confused for a second. I'm like, where am I? So I am in Vancouver today, working out of UBC. And where we are right now, it is the land of the Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Coast Salish peoples. When I do land acknowledgements, I try to think about not only where I am situated, but also try to think about how am I doing things to work towards reconciliation? How can I do things beyond just talking about the land that we're on? And I think that if you start looking into the program, we've done a lot of work to make the program honor decolonization where we can and be really embodying the spirit of growth, the spirit of value-based learning, as well as flexibility for all learners to be welcomed into this space. And we've actually learned a lot, and I'm taking a course right now to continue furthering my education in this space to take inspiration from some of the work that is done by Indigenous people so that we can not only talk about it, but also embody it in the work that we do. And there's a great partnership between coaching and Indigenous practice. So that's a little bit clunky, but it's real and it's me. And I'm constantly learning and looking for different ways that I can honor the people who are here and allow me to be here as a visitor and a settler. So that's a bit of where we are. One thing that you'll notice is we've got some people here, and I'm going to introduce them in a few minutes. But we have people from the program. We have learners. We have module facilitators. We've got lots of people to answer questions, and we're going to give you some ways to do that. We're all here because we love this. We love coaching. We love the program. This is something that is a very community-based program. The cohort model within this program is one where you're building community. And so we welcome you into this community, even if you are just visiting for today. We hope to get through as many questions as we possibly can. And we hope that if there is anything else, you can always reach out to us and we'll be able to answer your questions at a different time. Okay. So the UBC Certificate in Organizational Coaching, this is the info session for our cohort 21, which is starting in September. So this is our first one for this batch. We've just launched cohort 20 most recently, and we also have cohort 19 going. We number them because it helps us kind of situate ourselves in the program. I was cohort 8. Farhana, who is here joining us, was cohort 13. We've got Michael from cohort 17, and we've got Tony from cohort 19, who's currently going through the program. So it helps us kind of remember where people were, and we haven't thought of a wittier name to do it, so we call them by number. So we are looking to build cohort 21 right now. We're going to be doing some interactions through this. We're going to kind of walk you through how you can interact with us beyond chat. So we do have the chat open. So if you ask any questions in there, we've got my program team members are going to be watching that, and we'll try to keep track of that. But we also know when chat gets busy, it gets lost. So feel free to put stuff in there, but no, we might lose it. And so we have another way to do that as well. The other things that we're going to ask you is, be on camera if you would like. We don't require it, but we would love seeing your faces. You can turn off and on the camera when you want to. If you want to for a bit, that's totally fine. When you're not talking, if you can keep it on mute, it helps us keep focused if there's no background noise. But we will be also inviting you off camera to speak into the space at the end during our Q&A. We'll also be using annotation. And so let me just make sure that this is allowed. So on your screen, you should see a little green circle pencil, and that gives you the ability to annotate. And so when you click on that, it comes up with a little bar like you see at the toolbar at the top. And we're going to be using the stamping today, so I'll show you that in a few minutes. But if you can look at it right now, if you press on the stamp, it'll give you a choice of things that you can do. You can take a heart, you can put it wherever you want, you can use different things. And so we'll be using that as well to be able to kind of interact with you a little bit. So chat, and like annotation toolbar, mute, unmute, those are pretty much what you need to know right now. We'll also be using Flinga, but we'll give you that in a few moments so that you, when you can start using those. Okay. So welcome. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to go over some of the program elements, logistics, application program. So give you some of the, logistical pieces so that you understand how to move forward. And then we'll answer any questions and then describe the program experience from multiple perspectives. As I said, we have different people here to support us through that. This is what we're hoping to get through. At the end, we'll make sure we have time. And I always have a bit of extra time if we, run short on it. So we'll be here as long as you need us within reason. Who we've got here today. So as I said, my name's Kels Davidson. I'm a PCC level coach. I've been coaching since I left the program in 2020. I focus mostly on leadership development, leadership and organizational coaching. Even more specifically, I love working with leaders who are in high intensity roles, high stress. I kind of talk about it as leading through overwhelm. And then I work with the program part-time as well. So I'm here 3 days a week with the program, and then I do some coaching on the side. Most recently, I'm also back at school, so I'm finishing a degree right now. And I'm your cohort leader. So I've been involved with the cohort since I graduated back in cohort 8, and I love what we do here. In the room, we also have, I mentioned, Farhana, Michael, and Tony. And they are coming in to bring in their knowledge, their experience, but also they support different parts of the program. So through the program, there's not just myself as an instructor and other people coming in. for every cohort that we have come through, there's about 25 different program team members that work with you at different spots. Some of them are module facilitators, and that's what Farhana is coming in here as today. But we also have mentor coaches. We have alumni coaches who come back, as well as guest lecturers and all sorts of different people. So this is just a small portion of about 45 people that we have that work with the program at any given time. So I would love to let them introduce themselves. So I'm going to ask each of them to introduce who they are, what they do, and why they pursued coach training, and what is the gold in coach training? What's been like a nugget of gold that you've learned so far in your coach training journey? So Farhana, I'm going to pass it to you first.
Great. Thanks, Kels. Hi, everyone. I'm Farhana. It's so good to see all of the people that are interested in this program. So I am an ICF Associate Certified Coach and trained at UBC. I'm a full-time coach practitioner now, and I help my clients enhance their leadership skills and navigate through career transitions. I also help, and this is a big passion for me, leaders and their teams to create thriving work cultures. And like Kel said, I'm a module facilitator at the moment for the program. So why I pursued coach training is because I spent most of my career in financial services in risk management. And about a decade of that time, I was leading teams as a manager. And I really wanted to be a good leader. So I sought out leadership certifications and I used those principles that I learned to create what I called, highly effective and teams that sustained productivity. So after doing that for a while, I was asked to help by other leaders that I worked with to elevate their team's effectiveness and their team's productivity. And I often use coach-like approaches, at least that's what I thought I was doing at the time, as part of my leadership toolkit. But in this growing role that I had, I really wanted to enhance those skills and be that much more effective. So I enrolled in the UBC program, and I was so delighted to see a change in my leadership capabilities happening almost immediately when I went back to work. Not only did it elevate my strengths as a leader, but I gained the realization that what I loved the most about leadership was coaching. So ultimately, I followed this passion and purpose, and I became a full-time coach, which is what I do today for about the last 18 months. And the gold in coach training for me, there's so much gold. But if I had to pick one just for today, I would say it's being able to define through all the learnings and the practice with my cohort that I gained more power in my presence and my mindfulness. And I take this type of gold throughout my day, whether it's coaching or whether I'm leading a team effort, when I'm parenting or when I'm interacting with others in my community, or even when I'm taking care of myself. This coach training by nature facilitates presence, which supports me to show up as, I'd say, the better version of myself. So with that, I will hand it off to Michael.
Thanks, Farhana. So hi, everyone. I am Michael. So I was part of cohort 17. So I was a September intake several years ago now. So it will be in your shoes. I think I was attending this info session several years ago. What my background is, so my background is in HR, in organizational development, facilitation, leadership. It has been a space where I felt like I was doing sort of a lot of coaching and mentoring. And however, once I entered into the program, I realized that it was different to what I had thought in a really, really good way. I entered the reason why I chose the UBC program was I was in a time of transition. I wasn't actually working at the time, and I was really deciding what do I want to do next. And rather than just searching for another role, it was like, what actually feels meaningful for me? I actually had someone who was currently doing the program and it came highly recommended. And so when I looked into it, I'm like, this feels like the skill development and piece that I really want to build out, like how I want to have impact in my roles and what I want to do moving forward. Because part of me is I really enjoyed supporting people and how can I help people do better, get what they need. And one of the pieces that I really enjoy working with coaching clients is people who are feeling stuck and high performers who are, have the role that they want, but there's just something else missing. And that exploration piece, I really found that like the gold in coaching for me was really was skill development to be able to have such meaningful conversations with people and in a short amount of time be able to have people explore new perspectives that they otherwise like wouldn't have necessarily uncovered. Definitely not in that half an hour. They may have done it on their own, but it really speeds up. Really being able to help facilitate and speed up some like new thinking for people and being able to see the changes that get unlocked from that and knowing that like I had a part to play in being able to make some pretty key changes in people's lives. So it is such an impactful program in the sense that there was a lot of self-development and self-growth for me. And that is one of the things that I think you'll probably hear as people go through it, that it's not just about learning skills for other people. There's so much self-reflection that it continues to change the way that I show up, as Fahana said. So like that presence and parenting and constantly it's sort of like, oh, this is coaching. This is it. This is it in practice in a different space. So it really is these applicable skills that are not just for when we're sitting coaching with a client, but in every day. So yes, it's been life-changing for me.
Yay. Tony.
Hello. Hi, Kels, and thanks, Michael and Farana, to share all that. My name is Tony Filangeri, and I am currently a part of this program. And I believe I'm a part of the same timeline as the next intake. So I started in September 2025, and I'm finding myself in term two right now. So I believe that I'm in the thick of it right now. So I'm probably a good person to answer any questions about what's currently happening. But a little bit on my background is I might have come into this program a little bit different than everyone else. I came from BCIT, where I spent 12 years with BMW as an automotive tech. And then about 8 years ago, I decided that I wanted to pursue small business and entrepreneurship. So a bit of jack of all trades, came in with a lot of different experiences. And what I found for me, why I pursued coach training was I thought that I was coaching my teams. I thought that I was being a leader, but at the end of the day, I was just doing a lot of rescuing. I was doing a lot of consulting. So I really joined this program too as a bit of a self-development journey, which it completely was. You're going to see a lot of different parts of you that you might have not noticed originally when you kind of get into the thick of it. And the biggest goal of the coach training for me was learning how to tolerate not knowing as a strength. As someone that was a self-proclaimed firefighter that had the answers to everything, it's the complete opposite of coaching. And so that identity shift for me has had a ripple effect in my entire life, outside of coaching, even internally with myself and the way that I look at my assumptions and my biases. So I can't speak strongly enough of it, and I really look forward to the rest of this webinar and answering any questions after. So thanks so much for your time.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, definitely in the thick of it right now, Tony. I totally get it. Term two, as you might have noticed when you've gone through some of the different resources, there's an intensity in term two of, doing some projects and stuff like that. So it's some of those intense pieces that change your life. Michael, you kind of mentioned that, and I think that we all can agree that there's life-changing pieces of this program. And I know when I first walked into the program back in 2019, we were in person at that point for some of the live learnings. And I just remember very, very enthusiastic alumni coach being like, this is going to change your life. And I was like, oh, okay, like, let's see. And sure enough, it did. And I ended up leaving a corporate career and starting a whole new one in education as well as in coaching. So lots of change can come from this program, or it can just enhance some of the things you're already doing. Both are equally okay. So there's a few different ways that you can access information, and you can kind of explore all the different pieces that we have going on. There is the extended learning website. So that is probably where you found out about a lot of the information on here. But there is a ton of information, especially if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll get links to timelines to all sorts of different things, as well as other recordings of this webinar. And every webinar is a little bit different depending on what questions and those types of things that come forward. There's, as I just mentioned, previous webinar info webinars. When you click on one of them, you'll also see more that pop up on YouTube. We evolve the program based on what comes into the program. So we're big on getting feedback and then adapting as we go. So, you know, Michael's experience in cohort 17 is very different from the experience that's happening down in cohort 19. Now, the core is the same, but we take whatever's coming into the system and adapt accordingly. So if you look at, you know, webinars from quite a while ago, there might be some different answers, but for the most part, you're going to get different perspectives in those spaces as well. There's also the coach program handbook that you can access there. It's also going to go in chat. And that gives you a ton of information. All of the timelines, everything that you possibly would need to know is in that program handbook. You can reach out to Cynthia. Cynthia is, if you email Extended Learning, she's the one who's going to be helping you out. And she's our program coordinator. She is brilliant and definitely the background of this program and knows all of the intricacies of the technical pieces. And then you can also reach out to any program team and alumni. So even if you don't know where to start, if you reach out to Cynthia through the Extended Learning website, she can find a match for you, somebody to chat to if you have specific questions, either an alumni or myself. There's all sorts of us that are willing and open to having a conversation. You can also connect with anybody on LinkedIn. That's sometimes what, you know, it can be a great way to check out what have people done, and maybe is there somebody who I can relate to and would want to have a conversation with. So lots of spaces to access information, especially things that we might not be able to get covered today. So I want to start with an annotation activity, and I'd love to hear from folks. What is your reason for pursuing coach training? So as you kind of go into it, we've got some things here, but there also could be other reasons why. So if you go on to the green annotation little button on your screen, and you click that open and you come up with the bar that shows you all the different annotations. I'll just get you to take a stamp, or you can write, so you can use the text button, put it down below, and just put, what is your reason for pursuing coach training? We've got some different things here. It could be to develop practitioner level coaching competencies, growing your professional network and community, enhancing your confidence as a leader and change maker, earning credibility as an ICF credentialed coach. And then, yeah, what else? Are there some different things that we didn't capture here? So I know somebody put facilitate team effectiveness. Yeah, the second half of the program, we're going into team dynamics. And that really is a big change from maybe other coaching programs, that we're taking that organizational lens and talking about team dynamics. What's in the system? How do you coach a team or a group? Yeah. This is great. So seeing some, you know, clusters, you know, enhancing your confidence as a leader, earning that credibility. The network just comes with it. The community is, you know, is huge. People quite often miss the community when they graduate the program, so they come back. That's why there's so many of us involved. Great. Thank you. Okay. So let me clear. There we go. Okay. So we would love to also hear from you on our Flinga board. So I will get Farhana to put the link in the chat. And this is an opportunity for you to put questions that is going to be important for you to, what information is going to be important for you to get in order to move forward in your decision making. So some of you might be making a decision whether or not this is the program for you. So you can ask any questions in the Flinga. So I'm going to open that up now. And if you haven't used Flinga before, this is a great tool that we can use, and you can upvote different things. So you don't all have to put in your own individual questions, but you can also put any questions you have in here. And so, yeah, so we've got somebody already putting one in there, which is great. You can put in the message area any question that you want to put in there, and you can pick your color if you want, and then you will just send it. And so if I put in something and send it, it shows up there. If you like, and you were like, yeah, I also have that question, you can put a heart, and then that will upvote it. And that will actually help me be able to choose the order of questions that we go through. So when I go through it, we're going to put most liked first, and then that will organize them based on what people want to hear the answer to. So we're going to give you just a couple of minutes to jot down any questions that you have right now, put them into the Flinga board, but you can also do that. This is going to remain open for the whole thing. So you can access that at any time. So we'll give you a minute to do that. Okay. Okay. So you can just keep on doing that as we go, and then I will get to all of those questions as we go through. And the panel that we have with us will also help monitor any questions entered in there. If you can't access Flinga, or if it's not working for you, you could also put it in the chat, and then I will get the program team. If you see any questions come up in the chat, you can just throw it in the Flinga. That would be great. Okay. So why organizational coaching? So there's lots of reasons that we are kind of situated as an organizational coaching program versus, say, an executive coaching program or a life coaching program. There's overlap in all coaching that we do, but organizational coaching is really looking at a higher level look at what happens within an organization, really taking cues from the system that is happening. So there's a systemic lens of coaching that happens within organizational coaching, and people can take different pieces while working within an organization from executive coaching, leadership coaching, life coaching. But we're really looking at not only one-on-one engagement, not only group engagement, but that systemic team engagement as well. Right now, we think that organizational coaching is really important, and a lot of other people do too. It's not just us that talk about it, but it's really important because more than ever, we're seeing a lot of tension in workplaces, a lot of tension in the world, a lot of opportunities for support that organizational coaching can really help. People are expecting more out of their workplaces. We're expected to work harder. And so we need to give back into those workplaces, and coaching is a great way of doing that. If we think about expectations within the workplace, it's not just a paycheck for clocking in and out. People are looking for development. They're looking for career path opportunities, all of those things. And coaching is a way to actually provide that for employees. There's certain situations where organizational coaches will go in and only have access to one part of the system, but we are really looking at how can you take into consideration the rest of the system. And then sometimes you might go in and you are working with the entire system. You're working with a team, as well as their leadership, their sponsors, all of those types of things. So that kind of sets us apart from some of the other coaching programs as well, is that we are looking at that whole system. I know that there was a question on the Flinga just asking, like, how does this differ from some of the other coaching programs out there? We're one of the first university, organizational coaching programs that have existed. And we are not only doing individual one-on-one coaching, we do that for for the entire first term, but in the second term, we shift and start doing team coaching and team development, really kind of looking at those pieces, and you actually get your education towards team credentials if that's something that you're looking for through the ICF. And so that's something that's unique about our program, that we offer the training around that. And we have many of our mentor coaches that are certified as team coaches through the ICF. And we bring that aspect in. So when we think about some of the other things, as I said, like it's a complex world right now. We think about, we're still, recovering from the shifts because of, the pandemic in 2020. We see that a lot happening in workplace trends where people are being asked to go back into the office. All of a sudden, dynamics are changing. It can cause tension. Organizational coaching can come in and disrupt some of those, roller coasters of emotions and dynamics and all of those in a way that helps people move past that. We have different, social things that are happening. We see on here, like social movements, we have wars happening. And I mean, it's changing so quickly that it's hard to keep up with, especially, I mean, if we just even look at the last couple of weeks, all of the different things that have happened. If we look at the last year, all of the different things that have happened. Organizational coaching can help by coming into systems and helping people be able to navigate their workplaces or their professional lives while balancing it with everything else that's going on that might be affecting them personally and professionally. So definitely a lot of different reasons why this can be a great way to support organizations. Why UBC Certificate in Organizational Coaching? So this is a level 2 program. We call it level 2 because it brings you all of the way up to PCC, which is Professional Certified Coach, through the International Coaching Federation. So we are giving you 160 hours of training. That is giving you all of the hours of education that you need all the way up until you hit PCC. You would only need to go back to get more education, more coach training if you wanted to go for your MCC, which is the highest level of coaching credentials through the ICF. That's Master Certified Coach, which many people go for. It's a different level of coaching, but we're doing everything that you need up to there. This is also an incredible program because of the cohort model. And so this is something that I've realized as I've talked to folks who kind of come into our program after maybe completing other coach training. The cohort model, where you're learning with the same group over the course of the almost full year that you're working, you build relationships, you build trust, you build community. And that is something that I think creates a stronger learning environment, because you're not in it just as looking at what you're doing on your own. So you're getting all of the training that you need. You also are getting that cohort experience, that community. We have a whole bunch of different, we've got about 25 different mentor coaches that work with us. So you're getting different perspectives from coaches who have been in the profession for very many years, as well as some newer coaches. We have a mentor coach training program that we've launched through UBC as well. So we've got some new perspectives coming into our mentor coaching, which has been really fun. This is a very experiential learning program. So we really lean into experiential learning, trying to do different types of experiences so that it suits everybody. And as I said earlier, like we kind of take feedback and adapt as needed as we go through. So I'm really proud of the work that's been done before me and that we keep on doing, because it is something that most learners find that there's enough flexibility to make your way through in a way that works for you. And there is that flexibility woven in, so it doesn't have to feel scary. Somebody who's been, a little bit afraid in the past of traditional learning, this is something that you can find a way through it in a way that works for you. And if we don't have a path that works quite yet, we'll help you find a path. So there's a lot of flexibility in the program. It's very experiential. It's a lot of fun, even though it is a lot of hard work. And that's also how we actually do equity in the program. We meet you where you're at. We adapt and evolve with you as we go through this program. And we've really taken an equity, diversity, and inclusion lens that weaves through the entire program. So you're doing that work because it's important work to do in order to be an effective coach. You have to be able to step into different situations, hold back bias. You have to know yourself well in order to do that. So we have that woven through the whole program. We have an inquiry and appreciative approach to learning. It is really about learning yourself first so that you can learn the skills and so that you can bring that to your client. And we take that appreciative approach to both yourself. We talk a lot about self-compassion, being easy on yourself. It's a lot of hard work and it's a lot of like inner self-reflection. And sometimes that's uncomfortable, but we do that together. We get uncomfortable together, I guess. But it also is a great way for you to grow as you're getting ready to serve your clients. And then we have definitely a real commitment from the ICF, from our ICF PCC credentialed coaches, as they mentor you, as they work with you through different, parts of the program. We have recently won an award with the EMCC, which is like the ICF, the International Coaching Federation, but the European side of things. And we're working with them to be credentialed through them as well. And so we have a lot of professional support in the coaching world. We're known as a top level, coaching program. We are Senate approved through the UBC. So we had to make sure that we're kind of delivering at a top level. So something that we're all really proud of. We work hard. You will work hard if you go in this program. Some of that is inner work, some of it's outer work, but it pays off. That's what we've seen anyways. When we think about what you're getting from this program, so as I mentioned, it is a University of British Columbia Senate approved certificate. So that just means that we had to present it to UBC, and we had to, kind of meet certain criteria for it to be a certificate. So we stay true to that even as we change things. It is a level 2 coaching education. So you get not only all of the hours you need of education, but you also get all of your mentor coaching that you would need, all of your group and team mentor coaching. You get everything that you need to get all the way up to professional certified coach. You just have to send them the letter and do the rest of your hours. So we require about 25 logged coaching hours to get the certificate through UBC. To get to that first level through the ICF, you would just need to get up to 100 hours of coaching. For some people, that takes 6 months. For some people, it takes additional, year or two. It depends what you want to get out and how quickly you want to get there. And then for some people, they might already be coaching, but are looking for that accreditation to support the coaching work they're doing. They might hit that a lot faster. This also meets the team coaching education component. So in order to get your ACTC, which is your ICF advanced certification in team coaching, you need 60 hours of education, and we provide that baked into this program. So you've already hit that. If you want to go for your ACTC, you would just need to continue coaching some teams and get some additional mentorship outside of the program, which you would be meeting some mentors who could do that for you if that's something that you're interested in. Okay, for Hannah, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Great. Thanks, Kels.
Do you want me to continue sharing the slides for you?
Yeah, please. That would be lovely. I'd appreciate that. All right. So the image that you see here is of a previous cohort. I think it's cohort 8. And as I look at the photo, I noticed I actually interacted with quite a few of those people, even though I was in cohort 13. And that picture was taken when the program was fully in person, not like today, which is fully virtual. But it gives you an idea if you're asking the question, who are we looking for to enroll and who does enroll in the program? So it's people like those in this picture who come from various roles, departments, industries, and sectors. The learners include professionals at all different levels of their experience. Professionals for example, in technology, education, professional services like myself, all levels of government, healthcare, technology, entertainment, and medicine. When I look back on my cohort, those different professionals were all made up of my group. And they hold various roles in human resources, organizational development. I know in our cohort, we had CEOs, physicians, entrepreneurs, counselors, consultants, advisors, and more. So many different walks of life attend this program within any given cohort. And with all this diversity of learners, you might be asking, so what makes this program work? And from my experience as a person who was part of it, I'd say it's the commonality of the members that form this community who all had a desire to lifelong learning and being in service to others. Every person that I knew that I continue to meet has that desire. So when it comes to prior coaching knowledge, you might be asking about that. The program doesn't hold that expectation. You'll be met where you are and you'll be invited to try new things, which I loved, and develop your coaching skills with other learners who are in the same place as you. This community of people will be one where you learn with and from and build lasting relationships. I know that's been a theme that's come up. I still have friendships and professional relationships with many of the people from my cohort. When I think about this past week, I've talked to 3 people from my cohort, and that was in 2022. And now, since being involved as a mentor coach in the program, I've developed close relationships with people from different cohorts. And the experience is the same, lifelong learning and being in service to others. And my community in coaching just continues to grow. All right, Kels, how about the next one? Do you want to do slide 14? Uh-oh. Kels, you're on mute. There we go. Thanks. So just quickly, like a lot of journeys in life, the path may not be linear. I think it's important to say that. In this picture, that you see, it's of Chris, who was from a previous cohort, and he's giving his final organizational coaching program presentation. And he provides this beautiful metaphor of his learning journey in the program. And he shows how he thought at the onset that it might be linear, but that actually in practice, it was anything but linear. And yet it still met his definition of success. So just quickly, other qualities of the program, it's immersive with lots of feedback. If I likened it to building a house, I would say this coach training is something that as you build it, you take time to examine the structure and the foundation as you go. So it's very reflective by nature. And I think most importantly, the program is designed such that you're not alone. I never felt alone at once throughout the whole thing. And I had the full support of the program team, which you will as well. And you'll have opportunity to have many, many touch points with program team people and your peers throughout the curriculum. Okay, next slide. So UBC and ICF have definitions for what organizational coaching is. And in fact, one of the ICF competencies is that a coach can articulate their definition of coaching. So on the screen is one definition of organizational coaching that I'll read out if I can make it a little bigger. Yeah. Coaching inherently involves a relational process of learning that ultimately leads to change. And the purpose of the coaching relationship and related conversations is to support the individual, the group, or the team client to enact change. In this process, the coach can also experience learning that results in change. So everybody changes, everybody grows when it comes to coaching. Okay, next slide. All right, so here is a lovely picture of program team members, which I'll say a little bit more about. And first, that I'm just so proud to be a part of the program. All of the interactions I have with every new cohort I love, and it helps me reinforce the learning that I learned. There are typically between 28 and 32 members of the program team supporting 48 learners that comprise a cohort, so you can just get an idea of that ratio. And these people hold different roles from instructors, mentor coaches, practicum leads, and module facilitators like myself, as well as other types of program support. And we're all here to help the learners succeed. And just like the learners, the background of the program team members are just as diverse. And they include academic credentials in things like psychology, neuroscience, education, organizational development, management, adult education, and science. They have strong and impressive professional lives. For example, they hold roles as university faculty members, HR consultants, business owners, and leaders from various industries. They're practicing coaches from other disciplines as well that continue to invest in their professional growth, which again, like the learners, adds to the diversity of perspectives within the teaching that's provided. In all of this, no doubt you meet colleagues with an appetite for learning and curiosity. Diversity in the UBC program is really important to us, as Kels mentioned at the beginning, and we recognize that we all have different styles and approaches. We sometimes prefer different tools. I know I do. And for me, that's the thing that's been so beneficial because I got to critically analyze and take away what worked for me and leave the rest. And now, being part of the program, I get to come back and revisit what does work for me as I work with other people in the program team. And you'll experience something similar depending on where you are in your learning process. Kels, do we have time? I'm looking at it to see if we can pose the question to the rest of the panel here. That I'm really curious to hear from the rest of you what the impact was of working with a variety of coaches throughout your training when you were in the program. So why don't I ask Michael?
Yeah, I think that was probably one of the best parts of the program is not only working with the program team, but also interacting with the other learner coaches as well. There was a lot, like term one was all about doing coaching exchanges and being able to see all the different ways in which you can apply what we're learning and how it can show up differently with different individuals. And I think that's so the biggest piece was like it's not following a formula that you do step one, two, three, and everybody does the same thing. Like we are all bringing in our own past experience and who we are, and it's really like it was like quite invigorating to see how everybody applies what we're learning, but in their own way. And then same thing working with the mentor coaches, it was being able to learn so many different things, and the program is set up in a way that you do interact and do have mentor coaches that vary throughout the program. So you're not with one person the whole way. And that was a big strength as well because I know that I picked up different things from different people and then was able to apply it to my own work. And same thing, I know people picked up things from me, and that was like just the variety. There is no one way to do this, and I think that the program really captured that, and it felt there was always something to continue learning. Yeah, Tony, what are you
Yeah.
finding right now?
Yeah, thanks, Michael. Yeah, that a lot of that resonates with me. You get to, a coach comes in various sizes and in various perspectives, and there's so much that you bring to yourself in coaching, and to be able to talk to such a wide range of experienced coaches, alumni, even your cohort members, you take little pieces and nuggets from everyone, and it's not meant. There isn't one size that this program is trying to put you into this box. They really want you to become your own person and your own coach. And it's specifically set up that way. You're going to go through assignments that are called audit calls, where your coaching calls are actually audited by these team members. And you're going to get different feedback through all of them because everyone looks at coaching through a different lens. And that's what makes this program so fantastic is you really get to be yourself, and you actually should be more of yourself, and you're leaning more into your strengths, and you're trying to build yourself up into who you want to become as a coach. And the program team just does such a great job of doing that.
Yeah. Thanks, Tony and Michael. I loved hearing your stories about how you came into and you are continue to come into your own. Thanks. All right, Kels, back to you.
All right. Excellent. Fun fact, just talking about the diversity of the program team. One of the pictures up there, he actually ended up becoming like a performance coach for Olympic, an Olympic Team Canada individual. So that's kind of cool too. Lots of different overlap. All right, so what to expect? I want to go through some logistics really quickly so we can get to all of the questions. And as I said, we'll stay on a bit longer. So what to expect when it comes to design and delivery. So this is 100% online. Everything that we do is online, so you can do this from wherever you are. We've had people who have, done parts of the program from a hotel room in Mexico. I did that. But, you can, as long as you have internet connection, you're good. There are sometimes some hubs that will get together. Like, let's say if you are in the Vancouver area, there's usually some people that get together at different places, but it's not required. So this is an 8-month program, just over 8 months, really. Part-time, we can think about 8 to 12 hours a week. That's what we say in the beginning for term 1, for sure. You're looking at about 10 hours a week of work that you're going to, average out of. And then sometimes a bit more in the second term, because you've got an organizational coaching program that's happening. You're working with an external team and doing some group work. So depending on how you work, you're going to be prepared to do a bit more. There is 3 mandatory live on learning intensives. And so those ones are required that you're available for those entire times. All the dates are there, but there's one in term 1, one in term 2, and we wrap everything up in the capstone at the end of term 2. So during those times, you have to make sure that you are available to those either 3 or 4-day sessions. We always work 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we try to make sure there's lots of breaks in there and, kind of honor that system so that you can take care of yourself throughout that. During those times, you're coaching and you're being coached. It is very experiential. It is very collaborative, and you have to be there fully during those times. So making sure that you have that time off of your other work or other commitments is important. We have a capacity of 48 learners, and you complete the program from the beginning to the end together. In term 2, we quite often have some folks who join in just term 2. You might have noticed that there is a term 2 add-on opportunity. If you've already done coach training up to a level 1, which you're ACC, you can just join. So we have some people join us new in term 2, but you're working mostly with the same people through the entire program. We have, as I mentioned, those live online learning intensives that are full days. We also have 6 modules that you go through. So somebody asked about like what kind of assignments there are. During those modules, you'll be attending one live call, which is 90 minutes. We give you a couple of different choices of times that might work for you. And then you are doing some posts and interaction with each other online. So usually do about a 250 word or less post about the materials that we're talking about during that module. There's a self-reflective practice. So there are different assignments that are kind of happening throughout the program. But I would say that it is more on reflective practice and being able to speak to the concepts and terms that we're like concepts and ideas that we're exploring together, more so than heavy academic papers and research and those types of things. So it's more on making sure that you're learning and doing self-reflection on that. So you don't have to be cramming. There's no exams. We don't do exams or anything like that. So just thinking about that. In term 2, you might do up to 20 hours a week because you're really kind of in that practicum space. And there's different parts of the practicum where you're coaching and being coached. So in term 1, you're just doing one-on-one client coaching. You can do more if you want, but that's what we're asking. So you do some mentor coaching calls, you do some audit calls where you're recording, and we encourage you to actually work with each other. You can coach and practice coaching each other through term 1. And then term 2, as I said, it kind of gets a bit more intensive because you're expanding and you're working with clients outside of the cohort. So coaching in the wild, we'd like to say. And you're doing some long-term coaching, you're doing a bit more coaching, and then you're working on that team coaching experience. Somebody had asked in the Flinga, I saw, like, how do we do that team coaching? Do we provide a team? We have some that we bring in, and we also crowdsource it from the cohort. So if you know of a team that would like to be coached, we invite them in, we prepare them, we do their discovery with them and get them ready to go. But we also have some different teams that we work on, getting into the program, offering coaching to. And so usually we have about 10 different teams that we work with, and then we'll split you up into teams to go in and coach with them. So we do a lot of the legwork at the beginning, and then you're able to go in and do a coaching experience with them, from, assessing their needs to proposing an intervention, and then actually doing some of the coaching. So that's what happens in term 2. In terms of engagement through the program, you're going to be working with the full cohort at certain times, but you're also working in small groups. You're going to do peer coaching triangles. So that's a program that we have throughout the whole thing, where you're meeting with the same 3 people, or the same group of 3, to support your learning through the program. And then sometimes you're doing a one-on-one session. So lots of different ways that we engage. Even during the live learning intensive, we do lots of breakouts, so that it gives everybody a chance to engage in different ways that might feel comfortable for you. Because I know that if it was all just in the big group, people's voices can get lost, and, not everybody wants to speak up. And then sometimes people love that space, and that's good for them too. Program at a glance, and all of this is available on the website as well, in that guidebook that we talked about. But you can see some of the different topics and the outline of what happens through the different stages of the program. So if I look at this, you can see the dates for each of, like, the required pieces. So the live learning intensives, and then when you do your practicum work, you can see all the dates and the duration through there. And really in term 1, we're really looking at coaching fundamentals and personal mastery. So really thinking about what are the competencies it takes to be a coach. And then in term 2, we, evolve to organizational context and advanced coaching. So team coaching is considered advanced coaching. So we're kind of going from one to many, either one session to many sessions, or one person to many people. And then at the end, we kind of wrap things up with coaching proficiency in the organizational context. We do almost like a conference type environment. We have different speakers coming in who do coaching in different areas, and you're able to kind of learn from them, and ask lots of questions, build your network, all of those types of things. Oops. If you want more perspectives, we have, this was cohort 1. This was the original cohort that started it all. But we have lots of ways to learn about what other alumni have had happen through the program. You can go onto the website and look for graduate stories on that link that we showed you, because you can find out some of what people have done since the program. We're working on getting some fresh ones on there as well. So there'll be some more coming up in the next little while. But you can also reach out to Cynthia, and she can always set you up with an alumni who can have a conversation with you, because people love talking about this program. So we can find somebody if you'd like to have that perspective. The biggest thing, and I think we've mentioned this a few times, I know Farhana mentioned it, Michael mentioned it, Tony mentioned it, you're getting a community. And so the community is here to help you through this process, even through the decision making. But that, to me, is something that is really important, and something that has given, I would say, the most benefit as I've gone through my life after the program. So thinking about the application criteria, everything that we have online, you can go through the different pieces online of what the actual criteria is, but I do have some hot tips which will help you when you're deciding what is going to happen, or what is the best program for you, if this is it, if you meet those criteria. If you are unsure, you can ask us, because experience looks different for everyone. And we look for a variety of experiences, a variety of, training or education, all of those things. So if you are unsure, the best thing is to reach out to us. We're more than willing to have a conversation with you, because if you take the program, you'll hear from me often, it depends. There's nothing that's just black and white in this program. It is gray. And so we're looking for experience, but experience can take different forms. We're looking for people who are coming in with a clear understanding of what coaching is, but you might not have it figured out all yet. And that understanding will probably change as you go through the program. Most of our cohort has 10 to 15 years of experience, but it can go all the way up to 40. People are at different parts, different points in their career. But it is kind of having a shared purpose of creating impact, expanding themselves, helping others expand, all of those things. Technically, it would be important that you're proficient with being online, using online tools. Everything is on our LMS. It's a lot to kind of navigate. So if you have experience working online, that will definitely help. Having strong internet connection, having a computer that works, all of those things are going to be really important. The cohort matters. So we put a lot of work into building relationships within the cohort. You get to know each other well, and that is to create brave spaces for you to learn. And so we do want to make sure that we have folks who are going to be aligned with the cohort that we're trying to build. And again, if you're asking yourself, is that me? I mean, right there, you have some awareness and some thought into it. It probably is. And we'll talk to you if you would like to. When it comes down to the application, there's a bunch of different things that we're going to ask for. And this is actually helping us answer some of those questions. Your letter of intent, your reference letters, your detailed resume, all of those things are just going to help you, because once you apply, you'll meet with me. And so we'll have a half-hour meeting. We're going to make sure that you are somebody who is going to be the right fit for the program. But also we want to make sure we were the right fit for you. So it's a mutual beneficial, kind of conversation. And it's really also a time that I can answer any questions that you have. So what we ask you to do before and during your application process. So make sure that you've read the program handbook and have attended or viewed one of the webinars. If you have questions, you can reach out to Cynthia, our advisor. Submit a complete application. And so all of the information on how to do that is on the website. And then once you'll get an email that just kind of confirms that we have everything that we need. And then if everything is there that we need, you'll set up a 25-minute call with myself. And then once you're done that, criteria is met, we will send you an acceptance into the program. Or if the program's already full, waitlist and next steps. So right now we are just starting the applicant process, and everything, this is the first webinar we're having. So applications are now open, and we'll be reaching out within the next few weeks, or if you've applied, to set up those next steps for you. But this will be, hopefully everything will be kind of settled before mid-summer, because we'll be starting in September. So all of those, once they're in, we go, yay. Tips for success in the program: having some capacity and flexibility. That is something that you can benefit from through the program. So making sure that you have the ability to step away during the live learning intensives. Flexibility helps because you're going to be coordinating times to coach each other, those types of things. Having a supportive system, that's something we'll ask about, so that you can make sure that you're able to, fully show up. You having a good headspace entering the program can be helpful. So making sure that you have a supportive system around you, access to resources. I always recommend have a coach or have, a counselor that you work with, because sometimes you're unwrapping things and uncovering things within yourself, and having support through it is great. Baked in the program, you're going to be coached a lot by each other, so that also helps. You're going to want to think about who could you work with, because you're going to need to hit certain number of hours of clients that you work with in term 2, and those need to be outside of the program. So I say, think of 10 people that might be coached by you. That's a good start. That's a good average of the amount of people that you'll need to work with in term 2. And so if you can think of that, that's great. And then find ways to integrate learning and practice into your busy life. Look at this as something that you integrate into your life, not that it is separate from everything else you're doing. I always joke that I can't coach my partner, but I definitely use coaching skills on him, and it does help. And then be prepared to co-design and co-create the learning experience you want to have. The vibe, I talk about like vibes of a cohort, is something that we create together. And we want you to come in and be ready to co-create that with us. We're in it together, not separately. Okay. So I've gone over a little bit. And so I wanted to just take a look at the questions. Thank you if you're still here. And if not, I know people had to step away, and the recording of the entire thing will be available. And as I said, if you do need to step away, feel free to reach out to us. I'm always willing to have a conversation, and so are many others. But I want to take a look at the questions that we have, and so we can go through and answer any of the ones that we missed. Okay, let me just see. So how much of the coursework is self-paced, independent? So I would say that all of the live learning intensive obviously is together, it's live, it's not independent, it's more synchronous. But in between those sessions, there is quite a bit of opportunity for asynchronous work. So you're doing your readings for each module. So for each module, it's 2 weeks. During that time, there is 90 minutes that would be synchronous. The rest is all done asynchronously. So you have like timelines that you have to hit, but when you do that is up to you. The other pieces are, coaching exchanges, mentor coaching calls, all of those things. There is synchronous work in there because you're doing it with somebody else, but when and how you organize that is up to you. So lots of flexibility in there. And I would say probably about, outside of the live learning intensives, it's more asynchronous than synchronous, but there's still quite a bit of connection with each other and with us. It depends on how much you want of that. Are there many assignments from the program? I mentioned this earlier. You have a couple posts for each module, as well as there's some like pre-work, some pre-readings, and some reflective practice questions. We do a lot of reflective practice. So thinking about like, what are your ideas now? And then we look at them later and say, how have those, kind of shifted? What's shifted in you? Those types of things. But it's not heavy on like academic papers or those types of things. It's more experiential. And we offer different ways to do those assignments as well. So upon completing the COC program to become certified as an ICF coach, you've done all of the training, all of the assessments, everything that you need to do. So once you've completed the program and we give you a letter of completion, you just have to hit those 100 hours for the ACC level. Once you've hit that and have your 100 hours, you would apply through the ICF, and they set you up to do a knowledge exam. That is based on the Code of Ethics and the ICF coaching competencies. We are training to that through the entire program. So I find most people, they have to do a little bit of like, there's some like practice questions and stuff that you can check out on the ICF website, but most people are set up well to complete that when they're ready for it. So you just have to hit those hours. You tell them that you've hit the hours, you do the exam, and you send in your letter of completion. That's all you need to do. Okay, Tony or Michael, what's a realistic weekly time commitment? Tony, you're in the thick of it right now. What would you say was your time commitment weekly?
Yeah, I think that going through the guidebook is fairly accurate. It's not going to be like one of those things that don't kind of play with yourself and say, oh, they said it's going to take 10 hours a week, so I'm going to do it in 30 minutes. It's not like that. You really, you're doing a lot of different things at the same time, right? So you've got coaching that you're going to integrate into your routine, into your schedule. You've got PCTs, you've got an OCP project, you've got reading, you've got essays, you've got webinars. So you're layering in a lot of different things, and when you add them all up, kind of at face value, they don't say like 30 minutes here, 1 hour here. But once you start to add them up, it's pretty accurate. So I would really, really look at that guidebook. And I think like if this is going to be the one chance I can say this, scheduling is going to be probably your largest obstacle. So if you do not have access to a computer between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. at night because you work completely off the grid, this might not be the best program for you. There needs to be there needs to be scheduling, some flexibility, but I think the best thing you can do is apply and talk to Kels about your schedule and explain to her what a normal week looks like and when you can step away and when you can't. And she'll tell you pretty accurately, hey, that sounds something you can integrate in. I mean, I run two businesses. I have a family of three young children, and I was able to do this. But I have a little bit of flexibility in my schedule. So I was able to be here today. I have a coaching call this afternoon. I was able to do that. So just be real and then just communicate it to Kels, and you'll get your answer very quickly if it's something that's right for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Most people who take this program are working. Most people are working full-time jobs. Yeah, Michael's saying, yeah, you're working. Thanks, Michael. And it's still doable. It's flexibility will help you out. And if there is some times that maybe you have less flexibility, we can look at that. Because if we're prepared for it, I mean, we have people who have completed this program who are overseas in a completely different time zone, and they have to make some adjustments for them to be able to do that. But also, I know we have like one mentor coach, he loves doing mentor calls at like 10 p.m. He loves it. He has a family, he has a young family, so it works for him. So there's ways that we can kind of work around them, but the more flexibility you have, and you do need to make sure that you have that 10 to 20 hours a week that you can put towards this. If you get behind, it's hard to catch up. So we encourage that right from the very beginning. Tangible examples of benefits of this program. What we've seen happen is, one, if people are looking at building a coaching business, this is really, really a great way for you to get fundamental learning that sets you up well for being able to coach anybody. I think that the way that we kind of see people move through, I would say that our coaches come out with top-notch coaching skills, which is something that can put you into a competitive space in the market. If you're looking at, working with an organization, I know I was still in like a corporate role when I took this program. It 100% made me a better leader. It showed up almost immediately as I started the program in my leadership, in my engagement within my team, in the way that I showed up, having a much more grounded and confidence as I worked through the program in my leadership within my organization. So I think that it definitely helped. Also expanding my network. I was getting coached a lot by the other coaches in the program. So I'm getting like awesome coaching through some of the things that I was working through at work. So it definitely helped me show up as a better leader. And then I was actually able to integrate some of the coaching into working with other members within my team on how they could do things a bit differently. And so it had a trickle out effect. So lots of different benefits of this program. Does the program help find practicum opportunities? Yes. And you need to be prepared to also input into that system. So as I said, being ready with about 10 clients that you could work with, that will set you up well, because you're going to have to find your own clients. And we do also offer some opportunities. So Brian, who's a program leader, he is often out there working with other departments in UBC. Hey, do you have a program that wants coaching? So right now we have a partnership with one program in the Sauder School of Business all of their learners could come in and pick a coach. And so if you want to apply for that, then you might get picked. We can't guarantee that we're going to partner you with somebody, but we bring in opportunities as we can. And then that also helps with the teams that we mentioned earlier. We bring in some opportunities through teams. We're constantly looking for clients that we can bring into this program. But we also ask you to bring in because we can't find them all. Yes. If people are leaving, no problem. Reach out if you have more questions. I'm just going to stay on for a little bit longer and make sure I get all of these on recording. And yes. Opportunities for in-person connection. Yes, there are opportunities. We have alumni leaders. So we have our alumni coach community. Quarterly, we do online pieces so that we can offer that to everybody, no matter where they live. But we have one alumni leader out in the East and one in the West. And we are looking at potential opportunities for in-person meetups. But also, there's also the opportunity, and it does happen, where there is different alumni from the program who organize meetups in different spaces. So either that is, hey, whoever's in Vancouver Island, there's an ICF event, or we're going to create our own event. So there's opportunities there, and every cohort does it a little bit different. When referencing the system, what is that? So when we're referencing the system, we're really thinking of not just what's happening for the individual that we're coaching, but what are the influences outside of the individual that are also influencing what's happening. So if I think about a systemic lens of an organization, there's the individual, and then you go one layer out, and there's that individual's team. Then you might go another layer out. They might be in a group or location. Then you go another layer out. There's the entire organization. And then even taking it a bit further, what's happening outside of the organization that's impacting. So from every level, it impacts down to the individual. And organizational coaching does kind of some flexing in and out of those different areas. Yeah. Will there be an in-person version or hybrid version in the future? Not in our foreseeable future. One day, maybe. And we're also looking at how we can do other events in person in the future. So it might be add-on opportunities, other programs, because we have other programs that we run. But for this program, not at this time. Yeah. Is there an opportunity as the COC alumni to fulfill the 100-hour requirement to get the ICF? Yeah, we do have some ways that the alumni coaches can offer up coaching, especially when we're thinking about, folks coming into the program. We do require that you've had one coaching session at least, so you understand what it feels like to be coached by a certified coach. And we have a list that we'll send out if you haven't had that, with some of our alumni, people who are interested in picking up coaching hours, but we're also looking at how we can do even more of that. An in-person condensed course, we haven't discussed that yet. I think that there might be add-ons, but probably not condensing it too much because the progress takes time. It's not just learning all the skills, it's actually having the transformation and practicing the skills. So, yeah. So the pictures shown are in-person events. It's just how we used to do it. We should do some Zoom pictures, but they never look as good. So we're looking at ways to do different types of in-person opportunities, but right now the program is 100% online. All right. So are there any other questions that we have in the space? I see a few of you on screen, but some of you are off screen, and I would love to, if you want to come off mute, you can answer me any questions or ask me any questions.
I have one for you, Kels.
Yeah. Hello.
Hi, Thanks for hosting this. It's been very informative. So my question is, I would be coming in at term 2. So I'm ACC certified already. So just looking for a little bit more clarity on what does the assessments, I guess, look like from the practical side of the program? Is there someone that would want to attend a live team coaching? I'm looking for the team experience to complement my ACC. So that's where I guess I'm going with that. Work internally with an organization right now, wanting to get a little bit more practice in that. So just wondering what that looks like as far as qualifying in the practicum standards, recorded sessions submitted and then audited, or anything you can provide there.
We don't audit the team coaching sessions. You work through the team coaching process. There's, theory, there's, going through the modules, talking about the different models that we refer to and use. So there's that piece of it. And then you work with a mentor coach, but they're not attending your sessions live and giving feedback. The feedback that you get would be from your client and then from each other. And so when you're working with that team client, you would be working with usually about 4 or 5 people per team that goes in and works with the team. And so you'll probably be working with 1 to 2 other co-coaches while working with that organization if you're one of the team coaches going in. So you would be wanting to be actually actively team coaching. So you would get feedback from your client and from the other coach that you're working with. Where I think that you're kind of looking at is what you would need to do also beyond the program, which is the supervision, because that's an aspect to get your ACTC, would be the supervision part. And I mean, our mentor coaches are open to those discussions as well. Some of them are trained supervisors. There's that there. That's where you would get that aspect of it. And you would need the 5 teams to work with. So that's where you would get the live piece. What we do in the program is you would be also working towards your PCC level coaching. Did you do a level 1 or level 2 ICF program?
Level 1.
Yeah. So there's probably some change in how the competencies show up in markers. So you would be doing audits on individual one-on-one to get to that PCC level pass. So that's what you would be doing, like the more targeted feedback on with the mentor coaches. And we set you up to be able to do that by doing like an additional call right off the bat before you actually start in the term 2, where you would have a session with Brian. He would position your current coaching to what's different about our model that we use, what's the same, how does it look, so that you're prepared for those audit calls. But that's just with the individual coaching. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I think I only know some of the other team coaching programs out there that I don't know other ones that do live auditing of team coaching, but I think it's a great thing for me to kind of bring back and explore too, because that's a great question. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah, Rachel.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate all the information. It's been super helpful just to get a better understanding of the program. I do have a quick question regarding the admission requirements, and I apologize if this is a little more geared to myself specifically, but I do see that you're looking for past experience being coached by someone with ICF certification already. In my situation, a couple of years ago, I went through a 6-month mentorship program through my work where I was mentored by one of the VPs from our company. Would that be something that you'd see as kind of checking off the qualification for that admission requirement, or are you strictly looking for an example of being coached by someone with that certification already?
Yeah, we would be looking for being coached by somebody with that certification, because the difference between like mentoring and coaching is quite different. And so we want to make sure that you fully understand what the experience feels like, but also what you will be doing. And if that's something that you haven't done, we have a list of people who are, would be willing to, meet with you for a reduced rate, all of that kind of stuff. And so we can set you up with a list of people to explore that with, and you only have to do at least one session. Yeah.
That's very helpful. I really appreciate that. I'll definitely circle back with you for that list.
Yeah, great. Excellent. All right. Any other questions? Okay. All right. I'm going to stop the recording, and then I am here, to answer some additional questions.